facing the rushing Sengo Kamaru, when the male protagonist just raised his hands and posed out of the battle frame. One look made Chigashimaru quit for several years. Chisakimaru finally realized that the male protagonist was not simple. He didn't know. Although his foundation Jeet Kyundu, he was called a genius by his master. But the opponent in front of him, but the whole book Jeet Kyundu, have all practiced to the point of being proficient. Just like that, in the eyes of everyone, the two remained motionless and discussed each other for 15 minutes. Meanwhile, teacher Han Jing, also from Fart, I learned about the roof of the building in Korean. That's when a phone call came. It's the mother of the male protagonist. Asked the male owner if he caused trouble at school. Teacher Han Jing is a little weak-hearted, but he still kept the matter a secret and said that the male protagonist's academic performance came out. It's just that the results are not as good as expected. Hear, hear. Cold sweat broke out on the male protagonist's mother's head. Slow results came out. Teacher Han Jing was a little puzzled. Yes, Aunt Samang should be more sensitive now. Meanwhile, the two on the rooftop have been facing each other for 30 minutes. There are members of the student council, already yawning in boredom. But Kim Soon-chul was nervous and left a cold sweat. No, this is a duel between masters. Every move is fatal for them. Therefore, it is necessary to keep an eye on each other's every move. It's not as simple as just a few tricks. It was the first time he had seen it. Such a fierce civil war in the heart. Just when Kim Soon-chul's words fell, a wonderful scene was staged. The two men confronted each other motionlessly. But the people around him were desperately shouting and cheering. Teacher Lee Hanjin at this moment is rushing to the male protagonist in a panic. The words of the male protagonist's mother. Fear was written all over his face. There are 4 days in the next year that you must not mention studying. The midterm exams for the first and second semesters are announced. Final exam results. Just mention learning. The child will become very rebellious. Attention can become distracted. I can't give up all day. The whole person will become very aggressive. In short, don't let him fight. But it seems to be too late. How terrifying the male protagonist on the day the exam results were announced. Face the most potential kung fu kid of the Yin by gang. The male protagonist is full of himself. Exam results from the bottom, 21st. The male protagonist's eyes are in his eyes. A punch is thrown. He beat the gangsters to shoulder with the sun. In fact, the male protagonist once had a painful experience. That was when I was in junior high school. The teacher asked about the goal. The male protagonist wrote on the blackboard that he was the first in the school. At that time, the students all showed adoring eyes. But when he first announced his results, the penultimate score drew laughter from the class. And so it has continued until now, resulting in each release of exam results. The male protagonist will be particularly sensitive. This guy is also unlucky. I came to the door at this time, watching the male protagonist cry. He's a little confused. Why are you crying? But soon he made up a picture in his head. It's so pitiful that there are such weak creatures. The Kung Fu Kid was instantly furious, and he was looking down on me. He must be underestimating me. Thinking about it, he rushed towards the male protagonist again. But despite the ferocity of his offensive, the male protagonist is parried with one hand. And he found out. The male protagonist's defense turned out to be without loopholes. I couldn't find a single flaw. Finally, he was the first to show his flaws. Was raised by the male protagonist with one hand against his chest. Uncle banned the trick fourth move zero distance boxing. The storyboard thumped. Reminded the Kung Fu Kid of the master. That's the trick that the master used at that time. Almost beat him to life and can't take care of himself. But no matter what he asked for at first, the master didn't teach him and unceremoniously said, he can't learn this kind of half-ass. At this time, he felt more and more incredible. It's powerful. It was exactly the same as the master's feeling at that time. Could it be that this guy is really better than me? Obviously, everyone says I'm the big brother. I should be the most powerful. There shouldn't be anyone better than me. The Kung Fu Kid, who was unwilling to accept the facts, was furious again. Without hesitation, he used the original deal against Jin Shun. The kind of Zhe and Pu Jianye. The trick that the master forbids. The fuse rushed towards the male protagonist without hesitation. This moment is by the side of the male protagonist and him. It was as if a line of fire had appeared. I guess I can avoid this close distance. But soon the male protagonist fell into a riot again. I remembered the shame of being the penultimate in the exam. I worked hard. The 10th trick of the uncle's forbidden trick was shouted. At the same time, Teacher Han Jing also opened the door suddenly. I just happened to see the Kung Fu Kid due to excessive fright, sitting on the ground begging for mercy. A second before the male protagonist used that trick, he felt the danger of death. This guy is not at the same level as me. After the male protagonist gave the order to roll, the next second, the Kung Fu Kid ran away. It is rumored that the migration is over after this. Howling like a child, he has not been seen since he escaped the campus. The male protagonist is a little afraid. I almost made the 10th move, and so it went on for 2 days. The male protagonist looked at the wrong questions on the answer book. Tears flowed. I thought it would be different this time. At the same time, the working boy is also nested in the martial arts hall. I didn't eat for 2 days and 2 nights. Both of them said something like that at the same time. What's different from before? The male protagonist looked at the text message that the teacher sent him. Sorry. There was a knock on the teacher's door. The male protagonist opened the door with his hands and feet. Appearing outside the door was a nervous-looking smoothie. Ian Siming hurried out. Teachers are in danger. At this time, Mr. Han Jing didn't know why. He was standing at the door of the martial arts hall. A confrontation with a group of martial arts thugs. The garbage duo is upstairs analyzing the situation. The male protagonist sits on Kim Soon-Kole's motorcycle. Full power. The teacher rescue program officially began. I want to make the road high play Goosebumps Korean and drop out. It is necessary to convince the new president. Sengo Komuro held a meeting of the Commission for Discipline Inspection. You want to change a potential member of the Yanbai gang. Easier said than done. Teacher Han Jin made up his mind. I came to the martial arts hall where Sengo Komuro was. He remembered what Mr. Wu Jinghua had said. A teacher who is afraid of his students becomes a teacher. You can't be a teacher of education. Meanwhile, Li Jun also learned of Han Jing's determination. It turned out to be to drive away the skin. Han Yuning has been fighting alone. Li Junyi opened the door of the study group. Comrades in arms, I have an important thing to announce. At this time, Li Junyu. Li Jiyu was observing the martial arts hall in the dark. Kim Soon. Zhizheng rode a motorcycle and pulled the male protagonist to rush there. The garbage duo is on the rooftop. Get a close-up look with a drone. But Kim Soon-Kole is not so worried. Because of those people in the martial arts hall. They are very friendly to the teachers. It's just that they are extremely enlightened to those who have a high level of distance. In case the teacher is found to be a high distance value, I'm afraid it's going to be dangerous. Sure enough, it didn't disappoint the Jingshan. The thug immediately became angry. It's a high road. Kill Li Junyu, who he was hiding in the shadows. Li Jiyu couldn't wait to rush up. A garbage duo controls a drone. Interfere with the gangster's line of sight. Li Junyu, Li Jiyu, and the others rushed up to fight the gangsters. Soon the male protagonist and Kim Soon-Chul also rushed to the martial arts hall. But the neighborhood of the martial arts hall is quiet and unsettling. They have to find it first. The Wing Chun martial arts gym where Sensemaru is located. But Han was soon discovered. The textbook that Mr. Kim dropped to the ground. It seems that something is wrong. So much, so that I almost won through gritting my teeth. What the hell is that ant? It's amazing. And soon they will be taught a lesson by a bunch of thugs. At this time, Kim Soon-Chul on the other side spoke. He didn't know where the Wing Chun martial arts gym was. Even if you turn it all over here, it doesn't necessarily work out today. That's why he had to come here. This is exactly where Kim Soon-Kole should have been. Tiger Fist Martial Arts Gym, Now the male protagonist will be a kicker. Ask his master to inform him of the location of the Wing Chun martial arts gym. The first thing the male protagonist has to face. It's Kim Soon-Kol's senior brother, Wang Chi-fan, the janitor of the Tiger Fist Martial Arts Hall. Wang Chi-fan hooked his finger at Kim Soon-chul. "Let me rip your scars a little bigger," Kim Soon-chul whispered to the male protagonist. "If you want to see the master, you have to pass the gatekeeper's pass first. That's the rule here." Soon, under the puzzled gaze of everyone in the martial arts hall, the male protagonist gradually raised his fists. At this moment, the martial arts hall finally reacted. "This is the one who is going to challenge us." Four-eyed field chicken. Wang Chi-fan was annoyed and angry. Kim Soon-kol is here. He even brought the people of Lugao with him. But there's nothing surprising about it. Those guys on the high road. Isn't this often used as a place to practice? Thinking of Wang Chi-fan, he rushed to the male protagonist angrily. "Equity tigers out of the forest." The male protagonist looked at him and remembered this trick. "I also know how to dodge." Sure enough, the next moment, the male protagonist made a counterattack. Wang Chi-fan showed an expression of disbelief. But calm was restored immediately. "The distance is high, and it actually came to our territory. There must be no loss of face. Everybody is watching." So I concentrated again. The equity tiger pushed the mountain out. The heavy punches like raindrops forced the male protagonist into a corner. The martial arts hall, everyone began to cheer and saw if there was any. This is the Real Tiger pushing the mountain. With a clang, Wang Chi-fan finally broke through the male protagonist's defense. Seeing that his final blow was about to fall, the male protagonist raised his hand lightly and held him down. "Uncle said it. The person who practices martial arts must consider the strength of the other party. Win by one move or half a move. This is martial arts etiquette." At this time, the male protagonist raised his other hand. "But time is running out today. I think of the equity points mentioned by Kim Soon-kol. The extreme of the limit. Transcendence of the ultra. Superb. Equity pursues the power to go beyond the limit." The male protagonist fell with a punch to the limit. "Slam on the ground with your right foot. Kick it out." Wang Chi-fan flew in an instant. Slam it into the ground. Regardless of the crowd, everyone is gearing up. "Damn, the road is high. Let's go together." But the male protagonist has already arrived in front of them first. One kick and one kick, the two of them face each other. The king who rushed over again. The male protagonist focused his gaze and threw a few punches. Then he suddenly leaned over handsomely. The fifth trick of the uncle's forbidden move. The raptors crossed the river 5 times in a row. Next, the male protagonist gradually walked in front of the martial arts master. So that's the final level, isn't it? In order to rescue Mr. Han Jing, the male protagonist came to the second martial arts Hall Street Kick Hall. At this time, the male protagonist has challenged to the last level. That is, the master of the martial arts hall. The apprentices in the martial arts hall were all full of anger. The master will definitely teach him a good lesson for us. Blame the male protagonist one by one. Dare to stand in front of his master. At this moment, the master was also trembling with anger. Angrily shouted out to shut up for me. "You still don't have any senses. Didn't you have any enlightenment? Now he can stand before me. Has already proven his strength. If you don't understand it, you'll roll it up and leave." That's right, it's not the male protagonist who makes him angry. It's his apprentices. Because in his eyes, his disciples have long been arrogant and prejudiced. Blinded. I can't even recognize my own strength. He has been practicing martial arts for many years. Produced a kind of sensitive rule for the master. From the beginning. And he saw it. This guy brought by Kim Soon-chul is not simple. Although the child is still young. He has only been practicing martial arts for a few years. But his intuition told him, if you fight this person, his life's martial arts career will come to an end. The master's face darkened. But despite this, he chose to fight. Martial arts was originally this kind of duel between the king and the loser. He smiled at the thought of this. He was ready to take on the challenge at any time. The master posed for driving. If you win me, I'll tell you the location of the Wing Chun dance hall. If you want to get something, you have to pay the price you deserve. Then please advise. The male protagonist's eyes were a little concerned for a while. Pay the price you deserve. With the male protagonist kicking out, the master who blocked the attack smiled. Agile. The power is not trivial. It's like Bruce Lee reincarnated. Then the male protagonist bounced away in an instant. He liked this guy a lot, so he had to beat him. I saw that the master blocked the male protagonist's attack again. Grabbed the male protagonist's arm. Threw the male protagonist out. The male protagonist fell heavily on the shelf behind him. But at the moment, the male protagonist's brain is in chaos again, remembering the old master's previous words. If you say so. If the price is paid, it should pay off, shouldn't it? I've worked so hard. Then the male protagonist opened his eyes suddenly. Picked up the candlestick beside him. The second trick of the uncle's band is unfair competition. Meanwhile, the study group on the other side also fought back. Li Jiyu with his hands tied. A ladder to solve a gangster. At the same time, Li Jun jumped up on the spot and solved another one. Just when Li Junwoo was in a scuffle, Li Jiyu had already untied his shackles and rushed forward. The gangsters were a little confused. How the rope is untied. The scissors behind Mr. Hanjin. It already says it all. Soon Li Jiyu was thrown down. Just get rid of the last bastard. There was a thud from inside the door. Chigokumaru outside the door was a little concerned about the sound. The thug next to him explained. A group of deer were caught by the master. Now I'm being taught a lesson. Chisakimaru was a little upset. Why should the master do this? I'm going to have to deal with that guy on the high road with my own hands. Soon a voice came. Chisakimaru smiled reluctantly. It was his father and master who were waiting for him. Sengo Kamara's father. Warmly introduce him to a man. This is the Yin by Gang's settlement room. The father of Sengo Kamaru. It is necessary to make Sengoku pill a solution for Yin by Bang. Chigokumaru's father then lit a cigarette. Hug Sengo Kamaru right. Don't go to that place at school. You know that too. The path you will take in the future will not be the same as theirs. Schools teach useless things. Sengo Kamaru's father grinned. What you're going to learn now is the art of killing. As he spoke, he pulled Chisakimaru and walked out. What to do is already self-evident. Senshimaru's master's eyes were shocking. Finally couldn't help but blurt out, and so on. He's still young. Or leave him here first. But Sengo Kamaru's father ignored it. Gesture to Chigokumaru. Say goodbye to your master. Just when Chigashimaru was about to speak, a voice suddenly rang out. Where are you going? This moment, all looked in one direction at the same time. A full-fledged study group has appeared. So much so that he clasped his hands on his chest. Uncle, did you just say human words or nonsense? You dare imagine. Does a teenager who taught himself Jeet Kune Do dare to kick the gym? I saw the male protagonist holding the bamboo platform with both hands. The eyes are indifferent. It seems like that. Even such a fight could not make him serious. The master on the opposite side looked envious. He had never been so amazed by a person's talent. If he could play well. So what was in front of him? It must be a broad road. So the master asked the male protagonist sincerely, what do you want to do later? Fighters, bodyguards, or soldiers? The male protagonist said expressionlessly, I want to go to college. As he spoke, he threw it out of the bamboo platform. The old master hurriedly stretched out his arm to block. But I didn't expect the male protagonist to jump again. Fly up with a kick. With a bang. The old master was kicked out of more than 10 meters in an instant. But the master is not a vegetarian either. In the next second, he rushed to the male-led mirror. Don't forget to continue to ask the male owner. Bachelor's degree. With your motor nerves. Whether it's the Department of Physical Education or the Department of Guards. Definitely not a problem. The male protagonist spoke. I don't want to rely on motor nerves. I want to go to university based on my academic performance. The old master bounced the male protagonist away again. then your academic performance must be excellent. But this sentence just hit the weakness of the male protagonist. The male protagonist didn't dare to get up. No, my academic performance is poor. The master continued to persuade. Obviously, he has such a strong martial arts talent. I also want to be admitted to university based on my academic performance. It's stupid. The janitor who had fought with the male protagonist before had a look. He was so confused that he was not interested in practicing martial arts. What's the matter with being so strong? With the words of the old master, the male protagonist's face is getting darker and darker. In the face of the master's attack, he instantly leaned down. Do you think so too? The male protagonist slapped the master's Adam's apple. The mood has changed again. Sure enough, his mother had said something similar. Obviously, there is no hope, but he has been holding on to it without being presumptuous. Stupid behavior, yes. Thinking about it, the male protagonist pressed the master to the ground. Unwilling emotions. The strength in his hands was also a little stronger. My mother didn't care about my academic performance at all. It's long overdue to give up studying, isn't it? Because of the role of emotions. Let the male protagonist's offensive become more and more ferocious. And at this very moment, a voice suddenly stopped the male protagonist's attack. It is Ian Ziming, a Jingshun who has been watching the battle. What are you talking nonsense, you stinky boy? Meanwhile, the old master, who was falling backwards, also spoke. I know that there is no hope, and I don't give up. You are not the only one in the world who has this kind of person. Then the old master suddenly smiled. That's why there are teachers. Yes, because everyone has shortcomings. He will have the presence of a teacher. Now, the apprentices in the martial arts hall all burst into tears. Kim Shunji finally understood. Originally, the true reason why the master and himself severed the master-apprentice relationship. It's not because he's a vocational high school student. Rather, the master wanted him to go his own way. Soon fell with the last blow of the male protagonist. The male protagonist of this breakthrough declared victory. The master behind him supported his body. If you want to make up for your own shortcomings, just find a teacher. The male protagonist has already spoken. He said he would be back later today. Meanwhile, the study group finally found Sengo Kamaru. Here's Sengo Kamaru's father. Let Shigashimaru join the Shiobai gang to kill people. Li Jiyu gritted his teeth angrily. Actually said that he wanted to hand over the method of killing Shimaru. Are there any parents who do this? Teacher Tan Jing walked forward calmly. If what you just said is true, then I, as a teacher, can't do anything. I will ask the police to protect the safety of the leadstone pills. But the next second, Yen Baigon's solution took out a pistol. You're noisy. Shigo Kamaru's father's face darkened. You said you were going to call the police. Meanwhile, the male protagonist also got the location of the Wing Chun martial arts hall. The two of them quickened their pace, and we hurried. At this time, a voice suddenly stopped the male protagonist. Wang Qifan, the gatekeeper of the official martial arts hall, feeds. Your eyes are here. Wang Qifan, who was about to go back, turned his head sharply. Vicious inquiry. Ask how old you are. The male protagonist replied that he was 17 years old. The loud closing of the door represented his anger at the moment. This matter inside the martial arts hall. The martial arts master was with a black face. Because once the martial arts hall director is defeated, the students below will surely lose trust in him. They all left. This has always been the rule. However, the expected person to go to tea and cool did not happen. One by one, the apprentices ran towards him with concerned faces. That guy is so hateful. He even took the main stage. The master didn't lose. The contest was nullified. The old master smiled with satisfaction. He finally understood. The male protagonist was holding the weapon hard. Yes, that guy is abominable. How kind Mr. Wu Jinghua is. Once, in order to prevent the relationship between Liu Gao and the martial arts hall from deteriorating, teacher Wu Jinghua took the journey. A group of students from the vocational high school take care of the business of the martial arts hall. Let the martial arts hall know that Lu Cheng also has a high job. Kind students, the relationship gradually improved. But with the arrival of Pai Han, everything has changed. He aggressively encouraged the thugs to invade the martial arts hall. It also caused a tragedy like the arson incident in the martial arts hall. The male protagonist was a little embarrassed after hearing it. That teacher must be sad by now. Kim Soon-kol was silent for a moment. The teacher has passed away. Thinking of Wu Jing, Teacher Hua gave him the inner name of the word book. He was a very kind teacher. But the next second, a thud caused the two to stop. The two looked horrified. It's the sound of a gun. At this moment, the solution of the yen by gang. The pistol in his hand was still emitting white smoke. Reason? Yu and Li Jun looked at the small hole in the wall in horror. Chigokumaru's father opened his mouth casually. Once the other party feels the danger of life, it's easy to solve. Much looser, but this scene in front of me. But it shocked the master of Sengo Kumaru. It's someone else. I was already scared and my legs went limp. And that teacher. But he hugged the child without hesitation. At that moment, there was not the slightest hesitation. The study group did not dare to act rashly at this moment. Li Jun's expression was sluggish, and Mr. Gun, that was a real gun. In this situation, now they are lambs to the slaughter. The solution is to slowly put the gun back in the pocket of your clothes. Noise resolution. Fresh Shomaru's father is coldly threatening. Today, I just need to see the shadow of the police. You don't want to live. If you think I'm scaring you, then you can try. Let's be honest, though. If I really kill you, things can get a little complicated. Teacher Han Jin's hand, holding the phone, trembled. But if you miss the semester, he's probably not going to be at this school anymore. So this is the last chance. But he can't let the children, because he's in danger. Teacher Han Jin's expression struggled. I can only watch. The bad guys leave with their children. Let's give up. And just when everyone was helpless, Li Jiu suddenly raised his hand a little speechlessly. Then again, who called this four-eyed madman? Watch the scene of the male protagonist beating the solver. Teacher Han Jin's eyes widened. Everyone's faces were covered in. After monitoring, he was a little stumbling when he spoke. Insai was introduced to the Ming, and just when the solution room landed, Kim Soon-chul also appeared. A cubital base. Tons of damage were inflicted on the resolution room again. So much, so that he looked at Li Jun with a little suspicion. Are these two people called by you? In fact, Li Jun didn't know who called it. The male protagonist looked around. I remembered when the two of them were about to open the door just now. Was stopped by Kim Shirsian, who ran over. Kim Sehyun confirmed what had just been. The sound is really gunshots. Kim Shirsian wiped the sweat from his head in Zaimon. It's a bit outrageous, though, but I still want to ask you. Can you beat the man with the gun? At this moment, the male protagonist is confronting the solver. Sengo Kumaru's eyes flickered. If the agent is stimulated, I'm going to shoot. Soon the solver threw himself into his arms. The male protagonist looked serious. The man with the gun was found. Yes, even the man with the gun could not have won the fight. If he had a gun in his hand, he would have lost. But if we rush in, if he doesn't have a gun in his hand, it's a different story. Soon the male protagonist bounced off the solver. Reach into the hand in your arms. So in this way, the division kept pulling out guns. The male protagonist keeps interrupting. Sengo Kumaru's master had a shocked expression. This incredible speed is a stunt. The fist of the severed fist. What the hell is going on with this guy? And Kim Soon-kol on the other side. Also, to Chigo Kumaru's father. Soon Sengo Kumaru rushed out from behind Kim Soon-chul. Was knocked down by Li Jun with a punch. The study group all showed arrogant expressions. Well, now the tide is turned. The solver rubbed his fists. What the hell are you coming from? The male protagonist hooked his hand at him. Who the study group really is? Faced with Yin Bai's question, the male protagonist answered the study group very seriously. The solver scratched his head and studied the group. It's an interesting name, Indeed, times have changed. The male protagonist is a little puzzled. It's not a club. It is a study group that learns together. The solver was a little speechless, joking. As he spoke, he reached for his coat pocket again. But it was also interrupted by the male protagonist again. The solver finally found out. Turns out this guy has been staring at my hand. So he quietly stretched his legs. Raise your leg and hit the male protagonist to get off the horse. Then jump high again. Press the male master's head to the ground fiercely. Settled. But it also shattered the seal of the male protagonist's glasses. The solver pulled out a mobile phone into his arms. I just wanted to get my phone. How can it be to one? High school students without any threat. Shoot it too, but then he was amazed to find out. The constant trembling of the lens of his right hand. And just as he was giving blows and orders to his subordinates, the male protagonist's fist also came to him. A punch knocked him back. The male protagonist showed a saint's expression. He said he wouldn't use a gun anymore. Then I can let go of my hands and feet. Chigashimura's father looked at the two who were fighting behind him. It's rare to see Agent Pooh so excited. That Ishimaru should also leave some memories. I have to have a memory of fighting with my classmates. It should be more than enough to get 3 of them. Chishikimaru slowly got up, of course. I took it lightly just now. They weren't enough for me to warm up. The study group was a little surprised. Really fake. He wants a pair of 3s. Soon Sengo Kamaru rushed in. The second trick of the master's forbidden trick kills the broken wolf. A powerful blow. The study group was defeated. Chigashimaru's father laughed well. Worthy of my son. But the first thing Sengmaru looked at was his master. The apprentice didn't let you down. But soon the master reminded him. It was Kim Soon-Kole's move. Tiger Power has struck. Since Shimaru narrowly dodged. But at the same time, Lee Jun also kicked up. Yo, he's shouting. Then I'll do it too. Lee Junny didn't react after monitoring. A hand had already grabbed him. Actual combat judo. Twist your feet to the sky and fall down. Rationally and sassily clenched his fists. Dare to underestimate my stinky boy. Meanwhile, the battle between the male protagonist and the solver has also entered a white heat. The solver punched the male protagonist. Why are you hindering our male protagonist? Answer, because that guy is the student council president. There was still something to do at school. Immediately after that, the male protagonist was dodging a circle. A hard blow will distort the face of the solution division. He's going to help us get Pai Han out of school. The solver was shocked. The son of Pai Hanyu's boss. Thinking of this kid's talent. In his head, immediately, a picture of the future appeared. Thinking about it, the solver took out his pistol. The eerie muzzle is aimed at the male protagonist. I see some kind of future, and you are more than capable of turning him into reality. And you will become an enemy of the Yin by gang. The study group looked terrified. Lee Jun took out his mobile phone and shouted in a panic. Choi Hee-won switched to Plan B. But at this moment, the hand of the solver has taken the standalone machine. With a bang, the room suddenly went dark. It was Choi Shi-yuen on the other side, who had already pulled off the electric switch. Choi Shi-yuen opened weakly. I don't know which one it is. So it's all pulled. At this moment, it is not only dark before the play. The rest of the Lianwu Museum. There was also a whining. Kim Se-hyun motioned for Choi Hee-won to run. Someone might come over in a moment. That's their plan B. Once it is resolved, the muzzle is pointed at and then fired. They'll pull the switch. But it also means the plan to win over Sengo Kamaru was abandoned. Soon the study group is full of people. They came out one after another. But it's outrageous. The male protagonist also carried out the 1,000 stone pills. The study group was stunned. What are you bringing him out for? Isn't that setting yourself on fire? The solution at this moment is to look at the empty room. The expression is a little sluggish. Normal people should have been frightened and froze just now. To be honest, it's the first time I've seen such a bold guy. If he's not mistaken, that guy, obviously ready to dodge. The unconscious Sengoku pill was carried out by the male protagonist. Wake up to him. jumped off the shoulders of the male protagonist all at once. A little confused to look in private. But I just happened to see Han. The petition that Mr. Kim dropped before. Chizamaru was a little puzzled. Pi Korean language grades will be what the thing. The male protagonist explained on the side. We're going to get the language out of school. I need the cooperation of you, the student council president. After monitoring, he was immediately angry and gritted his teeth. Isn't it a friend of brother Myongwon in Korean? You made me betray my brother's friend. Let me do this kind of thing, then kill me. Sticky boy. But soon the applause rang out, worthy of being my brother. It was Ma Minghwan. Behind him are many gangsters of the Yenbai gang. And their goal is not only the male protagonist. There is also Senyamaru. Ma Minghwan smiled evilly. Your lies have been exposed. Right now, my dad is leading a group of people to find your master. The boss is angry now. Your master may die. Thousands of stones and thousands of eyes are shocked why. And the male protagonist didn't even think about it. He put his foot on the face of the solution room. The male protagonist opened his mouth, although he didn't know what the situation was. But Mr. Hanjin told me, be sure to take Ishimaru with you. Otherwise, his master would be very sad. Hear the words of the male protagonist. Senshimaru's expression was stunned. Although he is a party, I don't understand what Ma Minghwan's words mean. But he heard a very important keyword. The master may die. Damn, the Korean language plan is also to add me one. At this time, Ma Minghwan's father was taking the gangsters. Only Master Inchwan. Ma Minghwan's father muttered to himself. Isn't it too much? Master Inchwan was angry. His hand holding the phone kept shaking. Yes, Sengo Kamaru is not his biological son. Rather, it was his adopted son. Because of his son, Ma Minghwan did not have the talent to become the boss. It can't even surpass the eldest son. He knows, although the organization was founded by them together. But his eldest brother Dermatitis White can be 26 years old. Balanced too. All the little gangsters. Until now, it has come to this position. It's all because of talent. Because he has talent. So Hit from birth is destined to become the head of the organization. So he needs to find a talented guy. Come and help him become a big brother. It was at this time, Senyamaru of the Martial Arts Hall appears. At the age of 10 years old, solved 6 members of the Yenbai gang. Caught his attention, so he collected the 1,000 generations as Yangzi, raised from scratch. And just now, he received a text message from Ma Minghwan 7 years ago. It wasn't the end of the world that dealt with the members of the Yenbai gang. It's his master. Everything has been a scam for the past 7 years. At this time, Mr. Hanjin was blocked in the house. Is persuading Master Inchwan, although he and Sengo Kamaru have known each other for a few days. But he was a teacher. You can't watch students go astray, said. Teacher Hanjin grasped Master Inchwan. You are the only one who can convince Ishimaru. But Inchwan, the master shook off Teacher Hanjin's hand. I don't know what you want me to convince him. I just want to make Ishimaru just does what he wants. Teacher Hanjin's expression was serious. But you don't know what Ishimaru really wants to do. Outside at the moment, Sengoku Pill Combat Effectiveness Puller. Mixed doubles with the male lead. If what Ma Minghwan said is true, then his master should be in danger now. He had to fix this as soon as possible. At this time, the solver who had been watching the battle from the sidelines. Take your coat off. The one with glasses had to be solved. But before he could take 2 steps, he was knocked down by Senshimaru. Fell heavily to the ground. The solver fell to the ground and thought. It hurts, but it's not the same as that guy. Possess a natural talent. Thinking about solving it is a punch that hits the middle thousand. Shawan's parents are acquired talents. At this time, the gangsters on the other side has been defeated by the male protagonist. But the male protagonist's expression is serious. Here, every gangster. It's all the same as that guy's combat power. It's a hassle to solve. At this time, the solution also appeared behind the male protagonist. Didn't I say this guy handed it over to me? I saw Sengo Kamaru rushing out from behind. I'm not done yet. Chisakimiru shouted in Jaiming. I'll leave it to me here. You hurry up. I'm gonna come alone. A gangster team that even the male protagonist is tricky to deal with. Chisakimiru actually had to solve it alone. The solver didn't take Sengo Kamaru seriously at all. Grabbed his clothes and prepared to chase the male protagonist. Chigashimaru just wanted to stop the solver, because the analysis was immediately beaten away by a thug. In an instant, he was surrounded by thugs. Every gangster here. They are all official members of the Rock White Gang. In society, it is the existence of a big man. But Sengo Kamaru was not afraid at all. He had to stop the thugs. Don't let the master suffer in the belly and back. And the scene on the other side. It felt like he was worried about the master, as if it was superfluous. Master Yinchuan is a little gangster. As long as it is hit by Master and Takawa. Basically, I couldn't stand up. Ma Mingwan's father boiled his jaw. Master Yinchuan, didn't you say that Sengoku Maru is blue? How do I feel so far worse than you? But there are a lot of people on our side. It's still a matter of time before you are resolved. Manager Ma had a sarcastic expression. I'll just say it. If that guy is really that good, why do you have to obey me? It really looks like rubbish. This sentence. It just happened to make Master Yinchuan fall into memories. The gangsters in the martial arts hall before were all solved by him. Although the life of the martial arts hall is quite comfortable, but it also loses the joy of life. And at this very time, I just happened to meet the child who was very similar to him. The child has no relatives and no reason. I don't even know how to use chopsticks. And every time I see him, he is in a state of injury. As a child, Chigashimaru lifted the chicken leg, because my brother said that if I was beaten, they would give me food. Master Yinchuan's eyes were full of joy. He had imagined it. The look of Chigashimaru being bullied. Who the hell did this happen? Sengo Kamaru, on the other hand, is optimistic. I can't help it. I don't have the money or the energy. For someone like me, who has nothing, that's how to survive. Master Yinchuan looked at it meaningfully. The Sengo Kamaru who left with his eyes. Isn't that the same as I was back then? Later, after the enlightenment of the master of the Equity Martial Arts Hall, he decided to take the child as an apprentice. Master Yinchuan, who was facing back, said lightly, Manager Ma, do you say that the boy is obedient to you? No, you don't know anything about Ishimaru's kid. I don't like that kid. Do you know why I took him as an apprentice? Master Yinchuan remembered what Ishimaru looked like at that time. Then he smiled, remembering that Sengo Kamaru was alone. Make that vicious appearance, because that kid knows how to wait for an opportunity. How nice it would be to take that guy away quietly. Although a lot of lies have been told to you, but the blue out of the blue did not lie. At this time, the 1,000-stone pill on the other side was scattered, like a demon descending. Doesn't it mean that whoever is powerful is the big brother? Let the horses come, you bastards. Then Sengo Kamaru punched one by one. It's like a martial arts movie shot. But the high-intensity battle also made him break out in a cold sweat. There are 7 people in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. More than then. Dealing with 2 is already my limit. Then, that's the only way. Push your limits. Senshimaru pressed it down and knocked it down. To catch it is to blow the hammer. But he was soon kicked away by another thug. Ushered in a burst of lap ladders. A memory struck, Sengoku swelled up in his mind. That was the first time I came into contact with the word Big Brother. It is a movie called Jingwoman. He asked the master what the eldest brother was. The master told him that he was a strong man. Whoever is powerful is the big brother. When you become a big brother, you won't be looked down upon. The master told him that what you have to do is not forbearance. Instead, become strong. Make it impossible for others to look down on you. That's how you survive. First plain gnashing of teeth. Then suddenly a hook exploded. Dump all the thugs. Flashing and grinding in the battlefield. Each hit will bring the bastard. I can't stand up anymore. I said I was going to call me Big Brother. The third move of the master's forbidden trick is the Heavenly Gate. faced the last little gangster, unable to take care of oneself in life. The punch was quickly punched out, and all the thugs lay to the ground. First, I played with gasping for air. It's tiring. You have to catch up with Tsai Ming quickly. But he also fainted due to exhaustion. And at this time, the solution room is still chasing the male owner. To solve things, talking to himself, he must have gone to the martial arts hall. I'm going to have to take him personally. As everyone knows, the sixth male protagonist suddenly came out of the corner. You don't think you can beat me, do you? How bold this bastard is. He dared to chase the male protagonist alone. The male protagonist came out of the corner. The box punched him and made him an astronaut. You don't think you can beat me, do you? The solver suddenly remembered. There was once a person who said something similar to the male protagonist. But that person is cadres of gangsters in other regions. That's why he said that. It's because I know I'm going to win. But why? How dare a student say such a thing? But why would I be given a kind and win? The same tension as the time. The male protagonist threw away the pistol that he had just followed. No time. Let's do it quickly. He has been a cadre in the gang for several years. Through sensitivity to one's emotions. I can see that this guy is not bluffing. Rather, he said it as a matter of course. The solver looked nervously at the male protagonist. He finally knew that he could open it by mistake with the male protagonist before. It turned out to be because he had a pistol. When the male protagonist has no taboos, he doesn't even deserve to fight the male lead. It's completely a one-sided beating. Under the eyes that the solution is fear, the male protagonist opened his mouth, and you were quite resistant. Looks like we're going to have to hurry. At this time, Master Inchuan on the other side. He was also gradually exhausted in the battle with the gangsters. Soon, he was already scarred and couldn't stand on his feet. But there are still a lot of thugs with weapons in front of them. Mix. Manager Ma showed a smug smile. My little brother has good sword skills. Who told you to lie to me in the first place? But Master Yinchuan was also forced to do so. Although he seems to be cold by nature. But he always pays attention to his apprentices. He saw how many friends wanted to have a home. Soon a thug sneaked up from behind. And at this very moment, an iron rod suddenly hit the thug in the back of the head. It's Mr. Hankyeong, who has a frightened face. Although teacher Han Jing was already trembling with fear. But I still encourage Master Yinchuan not to give up. Manager Ma finally ran out of patience. Order your men to kill both of them. The male protagonist on the other side is still working as a solver. Do you look down on the end of 1,000 lifetimes? Uncle said it. The master of Wing Chun is Bruce Lee's master. Without Wing Chun, there would be no Jeet Kune Do now. Old-fashioned kung fu, isn't it? The first trick of the uncle's forbidden trick is unilateral beating. Bang bang, a few punches will solve the division and can't find the north. Even if you can't be an apprentice anymore. I can't say that my master is bad. The male protagonist remembered the master of the Tiger Fist martial arts gym. Among those masters, there isn't a single one you can want to see. The solver finally felt the gap in strength. The dying throes began. He crawled to pick up the pistol on the wall. Maybe Ma Minghuan has a point. Perhaps there is no better solution than a gun. Although his shot would alarm the entire two. But if you don't get rid of this guy, it will definitely pose a threat to the entire Iwabai gang. Soon in the frightened eyes of the male protagonist. The muzzle of the black pressure was aimed at the male protagonist. But the bang was not gunshot. Instead, Sengo Kamaru, who rushed over, kicked the gun away. Sengo Kamaru had a vicious expression. I said I'd catch up. At the same time, he shouted with the male protagonist. The trick that the master forbids. Uncle Forbidden Trick's 7th trick. The 4th move, the two of them combined a blow. Completely stupid to solve the problem. At this time, Mr. Han Jin on the other side. Thrown against the wall by thugs. I couldn't hold on anymore and sat on the ground. Hold on to your consciousness and speak, and the master can't give up. Please hold on a little longer. As teacher Han Jin's words fell, the door behind manager Ma creaked open. A figure appeared behind the door. Manager Ma turned back to something a little puzzled. Before he could finish speaking, he was nailed to the wall. Lost consciousness on the spot. The gangsters who were arrogant just now have been scared at the moment. It's the male protagonist who came to the rescue. How bad is Ma Minghwan? The male protagonist and Sengo Kamaru will solve the matter after it is resolved. Sengo Kamaru was already physically exhausted and unable to get up. The male protagonist had to go to the rescue alone. And at this very moment, Ma Minghwan walked over slowly and found a pistol on the ground. Ma Minghwan put his foot on the head of the unconscious resolution room. It's Yin Ziming who is too powerful. It's still an uncle. You're already very vegetable. In short, Yin Ziming, you are really amazing. Thanks to you. Ma Minghwan spoke. Found Sengo Kamaru lying aside. Ma Minghwan looked at it condescendingly. Sengo Kamaru is not the same as before. One person knocked down 7 members of the Rock White. It's not easy. And Chisakimuru is a trembling brother with anger. Why would you do such a thing? Ma Minghwan dragged his chin. There was no trace of emotion in his eyes. He knows. This guy trusted him from the very beginning. If not for this guy, he also couldn't get in touch with Master Ingchuan. That's when he started planning everything. First of all, I photographed Master Ingchuan, evidence that will be resolved by the members of the Extended White. Finally, it is proposed to give the credit to Chigo Komaru. The purpose is for him to adopt Sengo Kamaru as an adopted son. Let's get to the bottom today. Chisakimuru couldn't believe the scene in front of him at the moment. Why his most trusted brother? The lie will be exposed. Why betray us? Didn't you say that you should be a family? Ma Minghwan has a hippie smile. Curious. At this moment, the male protagonist on the other side rushed into the crowd. Punch and punch. It's like no one in the crowd. Jump in place. 180 degrees in the air, turned around, and flew a punch. Clear the obstacle again. It took a few minutes to arrive in front of Master Ingchuan. Master Ingchuan was surprised. Ask how Ishimaru is. The male protagonist told a little bit about what he had just done. There is also Sengo Kamaru with a record of 1 against 7. He's really remarkable. Teacher Han Jing is usually trying to tutor me. I still can't absorb it completely. But Ishimaru is different. He's an acquired genius who works hard. The male protagonist turned back calmly in the face of the gangsters. You should be proud to have this kind of apprentice. Master Intakawa smiled for the first time in a long time. I'm the kind of person I am. You can still laugh when you die. I also have to thank the old man at the Tiger Spring Martial Arts Hall. Let him take in the apprentices. He did feel the fun. Master Yinchuan was instantly full of fighting spirit. Rushed towards the gangsters side by side with the male protagonist. He also wanted to see the apprentice. Bring him more. Surprised, but in the next second, Master Ingchuan suddenly burst into blood. At this moment, hope turned to despair again. The male protagonist's eyes widened. Who was in the doorway? A dark figure stood in it. Ma Minghwan showed a happy expression. At that time, there was a problem with Sengo Kamaru. That's how he replied. Since you want to know so much, then I'll tell you. I did that because at the same time, back to the base, Paihan opened. The shoebox that Ma Minghwan got back at that time. It's the bullet of the gun. It's because I want to shoot real guns. Ma Minghwan showed a smug expression. What's the use of teaching those rotten fists? Trouble is dead. How crisp it is to shoot. Yes, he hates settling things with fights. He looked down on those who preached and taught even more. So the method of fighting that was taught at that time, he didn't study it seriously. It's a point higher than with a fist. He prefers to grasp the soft underbelly of others. The guide master is dying. The previous one was a marquee glide. Maybe I shouldn't have let Sherwan in the first place. Engage with him. But I was sympathetic for a moment. This led to today's tragedy. At this moment, Ma Minghwan's expression was crazy. That's right, grab each other's soft underbelly. It's equivalent to grasping the initiative. But at this moment, the whole audience has exploded. Ma Minghwan's father spoke with difficulty. How can you shoot? Ma Minghwan also proudly showed off to his father. I think you need help, so I'll help you. You see, Master Inchuan is amazing. Didn't I solve it with one shot? When the time comes, it will be enough to say that it was opened by the Spectrum agent. The male protagonist looked at the fallen master Kajagawa. Suppressed anger. Ask why you're doing it. The male protagonist solves. Two thugs around me instantly rushed towards Ma Minghwan. Ma Minghwan showed an underwhelming expression. You didn't listen at all. As he spoke, he used a gun to block the attack of the male protagonist. Raised the gun and hit the male protagonist in the head. The male protagonist on the bag rubbed his head and kicked it again. Ma Minghwan was born as a threat. Don't you care about the ant in the back? Is that a breath of air? It's still too late to get to the hospital. As far as he knows, In Siming is a person who values love and righteousness. That's his weakness. The male protagonist clenched his fists and trembled. I had to choose to give up, go back, and save Master Yinchuan. But I didn't expect it. Ma Minghwan, who was in the rear, raised his gun again. I don't know the monster In Ziming. Can you be defeated by my shot? But he didn't notice. A drone in the rear has already recorded everything. Soon the sound of footsteps was heard. Li Jiyu and Li Jun pushed him down. Li Jiyu casually threw the gun to Kim Shirsian. Good thing, just in case. The American version of the drone was taken away and filmed. Jean Shirsian turned his head to look at the male protagonist. I took that ant to the hospital. You stay here and do justice. Li Junyu and Li Jiyu had a fierce expression. The study group counterattack officially began. In the past, he was arrogant and domineering. The demon who made fun of others was finally sanctioned. Ma Minghwan is like a lost dog to Jean Shirsian. Pounced to get the pistol back. The male protagonist in the rear flew up and mended the knife. Ma Minghwan rotates 365 degrees in the air. Before he landed, he was caught by Li Jiyu again. Throw it hard in the air. I am not ashamed to think of my scum's life. Take pleasure in the weakness of the weak. 7 years ago, he set fire to the martial arts hall. Used the stone pill to coerce Master Yinchuan. And now the master of Yinchuan is shot to death. Soon he hasn't landed yet. Was hit by Li Jun's hard punch. In a foot nailed to the wall. The male protagonist made up for it again. Study groups. Everyone was venting their anger to their heart's content. Fire in their eyes. This scum is not enough to die. Ma Minghwan's father raised his hand with difficulty. Why haven't the words fallen yet? The male protagonist hit again with his zero-distance boxing. The male protagonist pressed Ma Minghwan. Keep waving his fists. Ask why you're doing it. Li Jun grabbed the male protagonist's shoulder in time. Wan Zai Ming is enough. If you fight again, you will die. At this point, a few thugs opened the door. It is not yet known what this situation is. When the study group is distracted, Ma Minghwan took the opportunity to flee in embarrassment, but just escaped around the corner. Chubby pounced and knocked him to the ground. Ma Minghwan was a little puzzled about who it was. I saw a teenager take off his hat. What else could it be? Of course, I'm here to pick up heads. Meanwhile, Kim Soon-chul carries an injured leadstone pill on his back. Rushed to the hospital with Choi Hee-won. But they ignore one thing. At this moment, Manager Ma, who was knocked down, was still conscious. Order your men to intercept them quickly. The girl had evidence that Ma Minghwan had shot her. Soon the two were found by the thugs. The two of them looked nervous. In this case, they simply can't fight back. However, at this time, Kim Soon-chul stopped laughing. At the same time, two large hands grabbed the thug's head. Bang bang. The crisis is over. It turned out to be Officer Rotaewon who came. Officer Rotaewon was a little helpless. That's why I'm here. I can't quit working overtime. The screen turns. Ma Minghwan just came out of the tiger's den and entered the wolf's mouth. Look at his embarrassed appearance. Obviously, it was not lightly tortured. But Ma Minghwan's courage is commendable. He also dared to speak provocatively. I was beaten so badly last time. Don't you feel ashamed to bluff now? Sure enough, once again, we ushered in a corner of the general health industry. Pu Jianya grabbed Ma Mingwan's hair, lifted him up. Lu's face. You think I'm playing a jerk game with you right now? Is it better than whom? As he spoke, he grabbed Ma Minghuan and walked away, looking at Ma Minghuan's current appearance. Pu Jianyi is quite appreciative. This embarrassed look is for you, Pu Jianya said coldly. Speak Paihan and tell who is going to kill my mother. But Ma Minghuan went berserk. Laugh at you think I've always been around Paihan. Will he treat me as a friend? I don't know anything at all. And even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. Because compared to you, I'm even more afraid of being brutalized by Paihan. So you'd better die and take revenge. Paihan is the real devil. Hearing the word demon, Chubby suddenly burst out, doing something that doesn't match your character. A punch hit Ma Minghuan in the head. Whoever speaks Paihan is worthy of being a demon. I think I was tortured because of you. I thought you were a demon too. But such you. It's not like I've beaten my head and bleeds. The same goes for the culvert. He's just a scumbag. There's nothing to be afraid of, you bastards. Chubby vented his emotions to his heart's content. The humiliation of the past was released at this moment. The male protagonist who arrived soon looked at the scene in front of him. Shocked. Ma Minghuan at this moment. I've been tortured by an unadult. At this moment a voice sounded. Do you know who did it? A middle-aged man is holding a book of disposition in the Korean language. The guy with a black face is my son's friend. The male protagonist's expression is serious. He just said it was his son's friend. The words of this guy's friend. Could it be that this man is the father of Paihan? The male protagonist was furious. This man is not making our school. It's the whole two. The main culprit for students going astray. Yanbai helped the boss dermatitis white. What would happen if I did it at this time? The male protagonist made a bold speech at the morning meeting. And the ongoing underdog underpinning girls program finally caused poverty. The idea of cold with his father's dermatitis white. Don't look at this man and the other middle-aged uncles are no different. But he was 26 years old. He led his men to level the second. The strongest Yakuza of the second was formed. Yanbai gang Jin Xingzhe once sternly warned the male protagonist. Never let that person notice you. Because of that guy. But even the police don't pay attention to it. But as everyone knows, the male protagonist has already met with this person. The male protagonist looked at the man in front of him with a hateful face. What about the boss of the Yanbai gang? In his eyes, he only knew that this man was a scum. It should be removed. But Dermatitis by kindly told the male protagonist to calm down. Dermatitis White showed the expression of an elder. Isn't this enzyming? Uncle has seen you. Speech that day. But I still remember it vividly. The male protagonist is tense. He heard what I was saying from the podium that day. He noticed me a long time ago. Then it can only be hard-hitting. But he didn't expect Dermatitis by to suddenly bow sincerely. As a father, I apologize for Korean. As he spoke, he handed the petition to the male protagonist again. Something must have been done wrong with Korean at home. I'm really sorry. The male protagonist was a little surprised. He bowed to me. But this man is a criminal who has sinned unforgivably. Be sure to catch him. Just when the male protagonist was about to do it, something even more outrageous happened. A little girl popped up out of nowhere. The male protagonist was a little stunned. Is he the younger sister of Pai Hanyu? It was the first day he saw Hanyu. The male protagonist froze in place and didn't know what to do, because he can see it at a glance. How much this child is loved by his parents. If you take away that child's smile, wouldn't I be a wicked person? But because of the male protagonist's temporary softness, a great catastrophe is looming. Meanwhile, Kim Sherhyun in the ambulance kept praying. Things have to go well. But soon the ambulance driver hit the brakes, because a group of thugs in front of him has been blocked. When I went, I became a gangster and hooked my hand at Jean Shersian. Give me the gun. Meanwhile, Officer Luo Taiwan carrying the manager of the horse on his back. There was also danger. A bunch of thugs intended, snatching people from the police by force. It was the first time he realized it as a police officer. The Yenbai gang has become lawless. Officer Rotaewon walked alone to the gangsters. The children are hiding. I didn't become a detective for nothing. I'm a police officer who can't deal with these gangsters. Study groups? Everyone looked at Officer Luo Taiwan with admiration. This fearless spirit is awe-inspiring. The thugs are cursing mothers. This cop is quite handsome. But before Officer Luo could make a move, a foot had appeared in the thug's face. In the next second, countless thugs took off. Officer Rotaewon was a little speechless. Who was delaying him to be handsome? Then a smile appeared on Officer Luo's lips. I almost forgot. It's not just the police who keep order in the martial arts hall. There are also the masters of the martial arts hall. The sources are the masters of the Huchuan Martial Arts Pavilion. Praying Mantis Boxing King Master. Tai Chi Master Hong. The masters who haven't been together for a long time. Start reminiscing. The chat is endless. At this time, the little thugs who had been ignored for a long time finally got angry. Hey, treat us like transparent people. But it's okay not to open your mouth. As soon as he opened his mouth, he was irritable with all kinds of kung fu. Suddenly, there were several more ambulances on the streets of the martial arts. But things are all settled. Officer Luo still didn't let his guard down. Because as far as he knew, dermatitis, white shouldn't be that simple. There must have been something else premeditated. The screen turns. Pai Han Yu on the other side was looking at Ma Minghuan. Bullets left behind. I didn't tell you. Don't do that kind of embarrassing thing. It's kind of fun to be with you. It's a pity that this is a woman walking into the base. It looks like a little weak-hearted. Someone wants to meet you. The words fell, and a large man walked in. It was the Fong Shangren who was violently beaten by the male protagonist last time. He doesn't speak Pai Han anymore. In order to win the male lead, he did a lot of training, and became a subordinate with a hidden title. Pai Han Yu looked indifferent. It turns out that the venerable master has been instructed by the hidden title. Let me see it. Master In Chuan's rescue was ineffective. It's already at stake. The male protagonist and Mr. Han Jin froze in place. Master In Chuan's voice was weak. All of this is my own doing. I deceived someone into accepting the black money. He also turned a blind eye to the evil deeds of the bad guys. I feel like it's a punishment for me. But he did it all for Chigo Komaru. He didn't say anything. Teacher Han Jin cheered up Master In Chuan. What to do if you go to Sengo Komaru? Master Jing Chuan said. For Ishimaru. He may not be a competent master either. He thought he was a kindred Ishimaru without a parent. It is impossible to be a great big shot, like myself at the time, but he only knew it from the mouth of Mr. Han Jin. What Ishimaru really wants. Chigo Komaru's name written on the videotape. Are all martial arts actors. In fact, the so-called big brother in the mouth of King Qianshi. It's the big brother in the movie. He worked hard to get stronger. Is to dig yourself up with the mentality to play the big brother. A smile appeared on the corner of Master In Chuan's mouth. Unexpectedly, the Lion King's kid still has such great ambitions. Mr. Han Jin, I thought you liked to be nosy, but now I know that you are the real teacher. Master In Chuan's breath became weaker and weaker. I have one last question. Ishimaru can get his wish. That so-called big brother. Teacher Han Jing did not immediately make up his mind. This society is not as easy as it seems. Dreams are not something that everyone can achieve. But I think trust the students. Give students hope. That's what a teacher does. It was the door of the ward that slammed open. The slender stone pill dragged the seriously injured body, crying and running into the ward. Master, no. You can't die. This master who raised him. In his heart, there is more than gratitude. There are also relatives. Master In Chuan's breath was weak. I've heard that you knocked down 7 people by yourself. The master wants to praise you once. Life is all about pushing the limits. You can. You're not who I used to be. I'm not the future you either. You are a disciple of the heart of Wing Chun that I recognize. You are my pride. As Master Inchwan's words fell, Master Inchwan closed his eyes completely. After 1,000 things, I cried bitterly and started school the next day. Pai Korean, who just came out of the classroom, was blocked at the door by teacher Han Jing. Pai Han speaks in Han language, Mr. Li Han Jing. Something happened to be looking for you. The words are not finished yet. Was interrupted by teacher Han Jing. I'll talk about that later. At this moment, all the members of the study group are here. Li Jiyu showed a happy smile. Korean brother. Look at this punishment book. The minister of provost with. The name of the student president has been stamped. Do you know what that means? Li Jiyu made a gesture to wipe his neck. Watch your head. Pai Han finally realized that he had been sanctioned. At the same time, today's news is also very strong. There was a shooting at the martial arts hall. One citizen died. The murderer turned out to be a student. But Ma Minghuan asked reporters. The reporter's last question has not been answered. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Ma Minghuan left an inexplicable sentence. Sunshine, please. And that's not all. The school was also disturbed by reporters. But there's nothing happier than the study group. Soon, Ikamaru opened the door and came in. He came to thank Mr. Hanjin. Teacher Hanjin suddenly appeared from behind. Ishimaru has already signed a contract with an agency, and that agent is very optimistic about Shigo Kumaru. When Ishimaru asks if he can be a big brother, that's how the broker answered, of course. It's no problem to be a grandfather who can be a big brother. The study group was shocked. This kid isn't going to become a big star. But it's also even more shocking. Teacher Han Jing's backstage. Last time, it was the TOEIC committee. This time it's a brokerage company. Where is the limit of this woman? Even if he is the top student in the teacher exam, teachers are probably not so competent. With the matter coming to an end, soon campus life was on track. But this day, the door to the classroom where the class was taking place suddenly opened. It was Kim Se-hyun's father. Kim Se-hyun's father strode towards Kim Se-hyun. It's a hard slap in the face. Didn't you go to the construction site to learn technology? How can you still come to school? As he spoke, he dragged Kim Se-hyun out of the classroom. You won't have to go to school anymore, but you haven't gone far. The male protagonist and Mr. Hanjin appeared. You let Kim Se-hyun go first. Have you ever seen a father like that? Obviously his own son. He has the academic talent to be the first in the school. But he was forced to drop out of school. Go to the construction site science technology. Kim Se-hyun, who was originally bullied. I finally got the help of the male protagonist. I saw a glimmer of light. But he fell into the abyss again. Kim Se-hyun, after class. A man walked towards the construction site in frustration. Think about it. His whole life was spent in darkness. When he was a child, his parents quarreled every once in a while. Doesn't take into account his feelings at all. He felt that he was a supporting role for his parents. It's not just with parents. The same is true on the outside. We are all heroes. Don't lie. Everywhere there will be poor extras, because it needs to be foiled to the protagonist. But one day, that was the first time the spotlight shone on him. Full marks in all subjects. Ushered in a burst of trouble from classmates. But he came home with his report card. But I got the news that my mother had run away from home. And just like that, once again brushing shoulders with the spotlight. Moreover, because this time my father came to school to do something. Let him be the smiling face of his classmates again. Kim Ho-myung tied for first place with Kim Se-hyun. Very unconvinced. I just play by substitution. Taunt. Kim Se-hyun's father is a good-for-nothing waste. Dressed like a beggar. Jin Shursian gritted his teeth angrily. They were all right. So much so that I can't argue with it at all. But why do I feel angry? Kim raised his fist. Slapped Jin Haoming in the face hard. Don't scold my dad. This sentence made him feel the difference himself. Why am I speaking for my dad? Jin Haoming angrily hit the dam. You are crazy. You dare to hit me. Said. A punch struck under Kim Se-hyun's terrified gaze. but he was caught by a hand. On the other side, the male protagonist hid from Kim Soo-hyun. After class, I took a taxi to the construction site. He was going to convince Kim Se-hyun's father again. But he happened to encounter a disturbance in the construction site drama. Kim Se-hyun's father was pushed to the ground by the foreman. The foreman looked at the animals with his eyes. Look at the workers in front of you. Respect for kindergarten teachers. The people of the white gang. Meanwhile, Jin Haoming looked at the person in front of him who was blocking his attack. Shocked. I just got out of the hospital today. I was happy to see my son. I didn't expect to enter the school gate. I saw someone beating someone with their fists. The male protagonist's mother has a gloomy face. This makes me very unhappy. The male protagonist's mother didn't care about Jin Haoming in front of her. He also turned back to Kim Se-hyun to speak. Isn't this seeing? Kim Soo-hyun scratched his head. Annie okay? Subsequently, the male protagonist's mother casually threw Jin Haoming aside. Looks like you're going to have to eat more. The little arms don't have any strength at all. That's right, Seein. Where have my people gone? Jin Haoming was shocked as he listened to the conversation between the two. This aunt is Eun Saiming. Mother, I inquired about it when I investigated Eun Saiming before. Put it this way. This aunt is the current director of the Taekwondo Association. She is also the MVP of the women's group of the World Taekwondo Championships. The headhunter of Jeon Mi-hyun. Jin Haoming remembered that he was the male protagonist at that time. Flicked the shadow of the brain. I was so frightened that I clutched my head and retreated again and again. But once again, he bravely provoked the male protagonist's mother, because he wanted his companion to record everything with his mobile phone. But I didn't expect it. Lee Jun suddenly appeared behind him. Jump up and kick the bastard away. Tell you to play tricks. Jin Haoming looked at the male protagonist's mother with a little weakness. Straight into a cold sweat. With the end of the matter, the male protagonist's mother drove the two home. He suddenly remembered. Kim Se-hyun seemed to have something unspeakable last time. So he asked. I learned what had just happened. Kim Soo-hyun hugged his school bag and was disappointed. He just wanted to keep learning, to fulfill his wish. Soon Kim Se-hyun's mother stopped the car. But the two of them found the place in front of them somewhat familiar. It turned out that Annie didn't want to send us home. Annie, this is trying to break through head-on. The two of them mustered up the courage to walk towards the construction site. Lee Jun pointed at Kim Se-hyun and shouted at his uncle. He wanted to go to college. But suddenly, it seems that something is wrong. How could Ming Saiming be there? And Saiming doesn't seem to be able to beat that person. A man with a strong body at this time is standing in front of the male protagonist. It is Chi Yingjian, the first heir of the White Gang. The first heir of the Tianbai Gang is not Pai Han. It's this Ji Yonghyun. Ji Yingjian is very curious about the male protagonist in front of him. I heard Fong Shangren say that you are a thorn in the side of Pai Han. Why don't you try 2 tricks with me? But the male protagonist now just wants to let it. Kim Se-hyun's father retracted his decision to transfer to another school. Ignore him at all. Facing the male protagonist's ignorance, Chi Yingjian raised her legs high. A powerful blow fell, interrupted the man's movements. Soon, Kim Se-hyun and Lee Jun also rushed to the bottom of the palace. But it's the first time they've seen the male protagonist so embarrassed. Shame Yingjian opened his mouth. This is not good. How can you fight a poor girl in these 2 moments? At this time, Kim Se-hyun's father found the foreman. Why the sudden shutdown? In the end, I can't do it or not. But the foreman's words made him fall into an ice cave. Starting tomorrow, the project will be taken over by Yenbai Force Resources. As soon as this remark came out, the workers rioted again. Because if it is handed over to the Yenbai Force, will be siphoned off 20% of the intermediary fee. Then, a fat man put his hand on Kim Se-hyun's father's shoulder. Say we're gangsters. How to speak. As he spoke, he kicked Kim Se-hyun's father away. The thug smoked a cigarette. It's a lot to be arrogant and domineering and do coolies. If you don't want to do it, get out. Kim Se-hyun's father, who fell to the ground. Look at those skilled workers. Envious. Yes, Kim Se-hyun knows it too. My father was an uneducated man. In his eyes, those skilled workers are the most sought after. That's why I've been asked to learn technology. Lee Jun couldn't bear it anymore and rushed towards the gangsters. But he was kicked away. It's the pool title that has been on the sidelines. The corners of Chi Ying's mouth hooked up to see how this is. Why don't we have a fight? You punch me, and I punch me. Such mutual contempt. If any of you can take me back a centimeter, I'll let the Yinbai people withdraw from this factory. As he spoke, Chi Ying began to unwash his clothes. Want Sai Ming, you weren't serious at all. Don't put it on a show. Hurry up and show me what you're really capable of. Soon the tooth shadow string was standing in place, hammering his thick muscles. The start of the game was announced. But I didn't expect to stand up for myopia. A thrilling adventure with tears in his eyes. It's all you said. You can't go back on your word. Saying that, Kim Se-hyun turned his head to look at his father. I will. Let Dad keep working. And you're going to keep me learning. I didn't do it for my father. It's for yourself. Kim Se-hyun's eyes were firm. I had to go to school. Kim Se-hyun's father's expression was shocked. This guy wasn't trying to convince me. It's about conditions. But can he really do it? And the reason why Kim Se-hyun dared to take on the challenge. Only Lee Jun knows. Kim Se-hyun, in order to get the means to protect himself. I once consulted Lee Jun about martial arts. Lee Jun handed him one of the male protagonist's moves. It's not Jeet Kune Do, it's Taekwondo. The best Taekwondo positive punch for Kim Se-hyun. Lee Jun had observed Kim Se-hyun's arm. The human arm is made up of the rao bone and the pubic bone, but there is a gap between the two bones. Exercises are needed to make bones stronger. But some people are very close to the pubic bone. There are also people who are born with higher bone density than others. And Kim Se-hyun falls into both cases. That is, there is no one-in-a-million training weapon. The male protagonist's mother, who is driving home at this moment. The more I think about it, the more wrong it becomes. Lee Jun's kick seems to have been seen somewhere. That's not yourself. Did you use any moves when you participated in Taekwondo tournaments? Could it be Een Ziming's child? At this moment, Jin Shurxian put on a driving role. Mom's basic skills are the first move. Young Kwan, watching Kim Shurhyun drive with punches. Everyone was stunned. Kim Shurhyun. This guy turned out to be a hidden dick. Kim Se-hyun punched out. The first air along the white gang. Red Shadow Xian's face was full of incredulity. Barely on your feet. A backhand punch hit Kim Se-hyun retro. Looked at Kim Se-hyun, who was knocked to the ground. Everyone was in a cold sweat. You can hold a punch at such a close range. This guy's a monster, right? Kim Se-hyun stood up with his body bold. Then everything you experience at home. It's nothing. So one more time. But the next second the footsteps flickered. Was caught by the male protagonist in time. You're doing a good job. The problem is that it's too hard. It was in my eyes. You don't have a solid place except your head. I didn't expect you to have such a good weapon. The male protagonist looks at the steel bars outside the poem. That uncle's. Can you get those out of the way? I'm afraid it's too dangerous. Kim Young-hyun, I'll give you a good demonstration. But you have to keep it a secret from my mother. How powerful is the male protagonist's serious punch? The male protagonist when he was a child. I've always wanted to learn my mother's Taekwondo. But my mother always didn't want the male protagonist to have some ability. Fight everywhere only to refuse. Fortunately, there is an uncle who has always been towards the male protagonist. Uncle risked being beaten. Secretly take the male protagonist to watch his mother's character competition. And solemnly told the male protagonist never to steal from school. I'm going to die if your mom finds out. But the male lead. I still secretly memorized the moves. The male protagonist lowered his head and said softly, I'm sorry, uncle. Then a punch was thrown. There was a bang. In an instant, countless people were stunned. Lee Jun even burst out foul language. I'm kidding. A terrifying punch sent Qi Yingzhan to take off on the spot. There was only the whirring sound of the wind in his ears. The stone shadow wolf was landed. Trees struck the ground again. A sip of sour water swims upstream. The male protagonist was a little surprised. This guy actually held up. It was only a dozen meters away. Ji Yingzhan looked at his mother behind him with some embarrassment. I almost got knocked off. The guy said that position. That's a big deal. The workers came over to praise the strength of the male protagonist. But the male protagonist has a serious expression. That's an extraordinary man. Ji Yingzhan pointed to the size of the male protagonist. Regardless of the intermediary company's obstruction, okay, then I can't go back on my word. In the future, no one can interfere here. The intermediary also wants to continue to persuade. Saw Ji Yingzhan show a fierce expression. Do you want to die? For your sake, the father of the Puchents. To save some face for you. If you are not convinced, go tell Uncle Yanbai. Sure, Yingzhan said hello to the male protagonist. Yin Siming heard that you're going to punish Pai Han. Tell you a secret quietly. Successful graduation is required. No stains can be left behind. As for the specific reason, don't be curious. You should know, though, there's no way that guy can go to school honestly. Even other schools have become notorious. You think there is no autumn in the yellow? Fang Sharma Minghuan, those guys. He can't even settle Lu Gao. He's a cruel guy. Lu Chung is known as the cradle of gangsters. It's not given by dermatitis in vain. It's Pai Korean. At this moment, there are 4 figures in front of Pai Han Yu. All of them are direct members of Pai Han. And the leader is that Mon Nanan is too bad. En Choi, who was expelled from school for hitting a teacher at school. Wu Kuei Chui Wu Kuei's girlfriend Hong Yaxing. Moreover, Chiu Jae Wong, who was violently beaten by the male protagonist in episode 3, also came. Chiu is in the yellow eye. I've been trained. It's not me anymore. At this moment, Ji Yingzhan hugged the male protagonist's neck. Don't look at that guy as showy. But it's actually very violent. You know the last time the punishment was held. What happened to the teacher of the ring order? He asked the teacher who exposed him. I can't attend the disciplinary meeting. And became the victim of a random homicide. Ji Yingzhan turned around and said, if you're still as SOSO as you were just now, everything will be as the cold rain wishes. Meanwhile, a hand suddenly put on Mr. Han Jin's shoulder. It's the mother of the male protagonist. The male protagonist's mother drove Mr. Han Jin back. Family. And thanked Mr. Han Jin for being able to help him take care of Zai Ming. Teacher Han Jin bowed to the male protagonist's mother. Thank you very much last time, Annie. Good thing you're fine. If you have a 3 long and 2 short one, it will be said here. Teacher Han Jin was already choked up and speechless. Before leaving, Teacher Han Jin mentioned the male protagonist's transfer again. I know Annie is not happy with our school, but the people love this school more than anyone else, because he has his own study group here. While, at the beginning, my aunt also comforted me to come here to be a teacher. If you believe the words of Zaimin, soon you will be able to see Mr. Wu Jinghua's office. Hope for the future. The male protagonist's mother. Uncharacteristically, he began to ponder. At this time, the real estate agent's phone rang. Hello, ma'am. I'm a real estate agent. The price of the last house you looked at hasn't changed. Do you want to go over and see it now? The male protagonist's mother pretended to be surprised. It rose by 3 million all of a sudden. You're too dark, aren't you? I'm sorry. I'm afraid this house can't work. With that, he hung up. The male protagonist's mother pretended to be a little angry. Can't find a suitable house. It seems that the school will not be replaced. Then the male protagonist's mother hugged his chest with both hands, and Mr. Han Jin. Please let me see it too. Teacher Jinhua hopes for the future. What the hell is it like? Yes, although he does things vigorously. However, it is still due to environmental changes. As a parent, it is the duty to provide a good environment for the children. So there are exceptions to everything. Meanwhile, the male protagonist and Li Jun put on a fierce expression. Uncle. If you insist on letting Shursian drop out, we're not going to do anything about it. I bet. If you let Shursian learn, and not to learn the words of technology, he will definitely be the one to buy this building. Kim Se-hyun's father is a little decadent and casual. If you want to learn so much, just learn. I don't care. Saying that, he turned his head angrily. Get out of here. I've been living outside for a month. Kim Se-hyun looked at his father's back, instantly froze in place. When the contradiction reaches its limit, no parent can win a child. Damn it. What do you think of this at this time? Jean Shursian is a little arrogant, and we'll see. I'll run away from home next time I mess with me. Soon it was finally the day before the final exams. Singo Shimmer walking alone on campus. Met Pai Hanyu and others. Singo Kamaru opened. It's because I signed the disciplinary letter. Came to me for revenge. Pai Hanyu opened his mouth. It's not entirely true to say what you owe a beating. It's just that I didn't expect Mom Minghwan's younger brother to betray me. Chigashimaru immediately reported who you said was whose brother. Chisakimura tugged at Pai Hanyu's collar. Furious, he received a text message from Pai Hanyu to him. Said that Ma Minghwan had something to tell him. Pai Hanyu's eyes widened. You called me, right? You can't believe Minghwan. Will you kill Master Ingchuan? Chisakimura looked unwilling. Yes. He really treats Ma Minghwan as an elder brother. I used to have a very happy time with Ma Minghwan. Chigo Kumaru gritted his teeth. Finally picked up, raised his fist, and rushed towards Pai Hanyu. But he was also kicked away by Pai Hanyu's men. Choi Wukue looked arrogant during my absence. The school is a mess. Just forget about the collar. Dare to swing his fist. Pai Hanyu chuckled. He was a person who was recognized by the people. Don't underestimate him. The words just fell. Choi Wukue seemed to smell a smell of gunpowder. Only for a moment. Singo Kamaru appeared in front of Choi Wukue. The master banned the trick fuse at the same time. Jean Kae is really chatting with the little henchman. I learned about Mr. Han Jin's promotion of the disciplinary meeting. Kim Kae Allah's jaw thought for a moment. The teacher who pushed forward the disciplinary meeting last time. His whereabouts were unknown on the day of the disciplinary meeting. Later it became random. Victim of a homicide. Teacher Wu Jinghua's entourage. The murder has a lot to do with the Korean language. That's not what it means. Teacher Han Jing may also be in danger. Remember the scene when Teacher Han Jing gave up his life to block his way. Kim Kyujin gritted his teeth and creaked. At this time, the little attendant waved at him. Kim Kuei-jin looked at it fixedly. Picked up in advance by Choi Wukue, who fell to the ground. This man is an enemy of the student union. Last time I beat him up a lot. The little attendant said that we should hurry up. If you are discovered, you will be in trouble. Kim Kuei-jin grinned and waited. I'd like to see it. Isn't that Choi Wukue? Choi Wukue, who got up, didn't say a word. It's with Sengo Kamaru. I felt the strength of Sengo Kamaru. Makes him a little irritable. But the next second, blocks Sengo Kamaru's attack boxing. This Choi Wukue is the older generation. Students know it, especially that sudden lower kick. It feels like I can sweep away a cow. But that guy, though, with legs. But it's not Taekwondo that I'm learning. I saw Choi Wukue turn around and dodged a punch from Sengo Kamaru. Then he suddenly grabbed Chigo Kumaru's arm. He threw Chigashimaru out of the way. That's right, and the airway is going to be jujitsu. Hit. A comprehensive martial art that combines technique and instrumental technique. As long as he catches him, he will definitely lose. At this time, Choi Wukue was controlling Sengo Kamaru's arm. I would like to ask how about the Korean language of the side. Do you want to break it? Pai-han condescendingly looked at the thousands of worlds. To withdraw the city construction. Will it be too late? Kim Kyujin, who was hiding on the side, had a solemn face. Withdraw it. There will be no danger in withdrawing Teacher Han Jing. Sengo Kamaru grinned. Can he withdraw now, right? It's true that if you break your hand, you can't be a big brother. The agent had reminded him sternly. Chisakimura spoke, well, okay. Then raise your middle finger and withdraw fart. I'm not a big brother anymore. Teacher Lee Hanjin is my benefactor. He gave me hope. Do you want me to take revenge? Kim Kue-jin was shocked. This guy doesn't have a brain in the water, right? It's a shame that I'm a little impatient listening to Korean. Woo Kue do it. Choi Woo Kue immediately began to exert his strength. At this time, Jin Kue is really a small follower. Or watch the excitement with Kim Kyu-jin, only to find out Kim Kyu-jin has already appeared at the lively scene, is throwing Choi Moo-kyu in the air. Pai Han-yu was a little confused. Kim Kue. There are 10,000 grass and mud horses galloping through my heart. Chien-shur was also a little stunned. What the hell is going on? In Kim Kyu-jin's heart. I think of the scenes of Mr. Han-jin at that time. You're a weak female teacher. Why do you want to block the knife for me? And do so many dangerous things? Kim Kyu-jin looked nervous. Why is it always worrying? His name is Kim Kyu-jin. He was the worst of the gangsters. Take someone else's handle for fun. Now he has been influenced by Mr. Han-jin. It's not just his little followers. Something that even he thought was outrageous. That is, from Choi Woo Kue's hands, there are thousands of things. Kim Kyu-jin was about to breathe a sigh of relief. Choi Woo Kue's dangerous eyes were close. Squatted down and grabbed Kim Kyu-jin's wrist casually. What are you doing? You stupid fork. Kim Kyu-jin just wanted to admit it. But a punch from Choi Moo-kyu already hit him in the abdomen. The little followers hiding on the side looked stupid. Jin Kyu-jin endured the pain and slowly opened his mouth. Haha. Damn, it hurts. Listen to me. I just had a hunch. Premonition of Mr. Han-jin will become the same as Mr. Wu Jinghua. I guessed it in Pai Han. Teacher Wu Jinghua's death last year was because of you. I didn't want to mind your business. But Mr. Lee Hanjin can't. I owe that teacher a person, please. Kim Kyu-jin grinned. I don't admit it. Otherwise, I'll be guilty forever. But the words just fell, ushered in Choi Woo Kue's punch. Nosebleeds. Isn't it bad that I'm just meddling in vain? But I saw that Sengo Kamaru had recovered. Jumped up and rubbed his fist against the body of the golden sunflower needle. One punch knocked Choi Woo Kue away. Chigo Kamaru turned his head to look at the golden sunflower needle. This man is from the student council. Thanks to him, I was able to fight back. Chigo Kamaru had a gloomy face. Are you really going to do something to Mr. Han-jin? Pai Han-yu smiled evilly. That's right. But while speaking, Chisakimaru was attacked by Choi Woo Kue. Sengo Kamaru watched Choi Woo Kue's palm get closer and closer. A dodge in the air. The second move forbidden by the master kills the broken wolf. Chisakimaru was shocked. If Pai Han is true, then you have to stop them. Meanwhile, Choi Hee-won has always had an ominous premonition. Sure enough, Huang Meishi walked out from behind. Once Choi Shun was in order to help each other. Gave him a punch. Choi Hee-won decided that it would be better to avoid him. But I didn't expect it. Has been dragged by Huang Meishi's hair in the rear. You're arrogant right now. As he spoke, he raised his slap and was about to delete it. Before he could fall, he was grabbed by a hand. It was Lee Daz who happened to be passing by. But at the same time, Pai Han-yu is a direct subordinate. Hong Yaxing also passed by here. Look at the weak girl. Was able to close to the bag chain and knocked Lee Daz down. The screen turns. The final exams are over. The study group all relaxed, while everyone is discussing the final exam results. Speaking of the hero this time, that's Ian Zimming, who is trembling all over now. Lee Junyu and Lee Jiyu's expressions were exaggerated. He's not going to be sensitive again. It's hard to go to the martial arts hall to fight again. But Kim Shir-yun said, this time I want to talk about the good news. He took the test paper and compared it with the male protagonist. It was found that 50% were the same. The male protagonist's heart is pounding. Same answer as Kim Se-hyun. In other words, the whole audience exploded in an instant. In other words, the male protagonist answered half of the answer correctly. For the first time, the male protagonist enjoyed this feeling of boasting. It also made him a little uncomfortable. It seems that his recent efforts have not been in vain. Once again, the study group warmly congratulated. Lee Jundu burst into tears with excitement. Teacher Lee Hanjin showed a pleased smile. Even if it's for the sake of these kids. It is also necessary to change this school as soon as possible. After Mr. Han Jin left, with Lee Jiyu's ventilation report, the crowd quickly closed the curtains. Locked the door. The meeting was opened in secret, because the day before the final exam a few days ago, King Thousand Stones was covered in blood. Opened the door to the study group. He managed to escape. Before I could recover, I quickly found it. Want Sai Ming. If you don't want to lose your mentor like I did, you're about to act. The teacher who dropped out of the school before. All of them were killed. The moment is sane and emotional. I almost had this happening. It's unbelievable. Kim Soon-chul knew about it as an old student. At that time, Mr. Wu Jinghua. It's to be the victim of a random homicide. Chui Shiyuan was the first to ask questions. Why don't you tell Officer Ro Tae-wan? The male protagonist's face is solemn. I can't talk to the police right now. It's not that you don't trust Officer Law, because the police will only be after something has happened. We'll take action. If there is no evidence, it will only cost people and money. Moreover, if Pai Hanyu knew that the police were watching him, will become more difficult to deal with. In an instant, everyone agreed. Yes, that is to do it before the Pai Han language acts. But Pai Han subordinates are also a problem. A Chui Wukuan who can beat 1,000 stone pills like that. And Hong Yaxing who can bring Li Daz down. None of them are characters to mess with. And I heard that after the test, Chiu Rhubarb also came. So first they have to make a plan. And you can't let teacher Han Jing know. Study groups. Everyone thought of teacher Han Jing's help. He wants to make the school better. At the risk of it. This moment, the eyes of everyone in the study group hardened. This time, each of them will be there. The male protagonist ended the topic with a serious expression. This time it's our turn to repay the favor. How terrible is the male protagonist in order to learn? Together with the study group, they want to destroy the gangster dens. During the 20 days of preparing for the Korean language acceptance meeting, Lee Jiyu came to the martial arts club, learned MMA mixed martial arts. Kim Se-hyun came to the man's house. I learned Taekwondo from the male protagonist's mother. Lee Jun is personally used by the male protagonist as a sparring partner. The Jingshun walked into the long-lost martial arts hall. Chui Shiyuan is constantly collecting information on the internet. Finally, after teacher Han Jing announced the start of the summer vacation, it's the last day. Each of the night study groups was dressed in black. Came to the den of the Rock White Gang. The male protagonist's eyes are so calm that they are terrifying. Pai Han looks at you past today. You can't be so arrogant anymore. After today, one thing will happen quietly. A major event that passed away in shock. Gang of 6 people in the study group. The day before the discipline inspection. It is necessary to exterminate the Pai Korean dens. The Korean language of the material guide, Pai Attack Songdo. Pai Han stood on the roof with his hands in his pockets. He had already told Han Lu about it. Tomorrow I will spend the whole day playing games with Han Lu. Things have to be resolved by tomorrow. He couldn't break his word. Meanwhile, the male protagonist and others also rushed to Pai Hanyu. Lobsters and dens. Everyone in the study group looked at the building in front of them. Shocked. This entire building is the big guy in Pai Han. These gangsters are really capable. At the same time, Pu Jianya and others also went to another place, gathering information, with the male protagonist and Lee Jun's eye meeting. The two of them kicked open the door at the same time. At the same time, the building alarm sounded. Kim Se-hyun motioned to Choi Hyun to go outside to watch the wind first. Speak quickly. A group of yin by gang thugs blocked the door. Lee Jun showed an excited expression. Let the horses come. Don't let us go. Kim Soon-chul opened his mouth to explain to everyone. This group of thugs is a standing army from various schools. All belong to the sphere of influence of the Pai Korean language. The current Rock White Gang is divided into the south and the north. The northern forces are in charge of the Pool Shadow. The southern part belongs to the Pi Korean language. Lee Jun understood in an instant. That means they're lackeys of the Korean language. Luo Lee Jun's words just fell. Was attacked by a gangster. Damn, what do you say we are? The words are not finished yet. Number 48's big foot slammed into his face. Lee Jun kicked and shouted to kick Lee Jun. Lee Jun turned around and continued to taunt. Saying your lackeys is enough to lift you up. The thugs were immediately enraged. The battle is on the verge of breaking out. Kim Soon-chul was the first to flash in front of a thug. A punch lifted the thug high into the air. The five-punch Tiger Rage dodged the second attack sideways. An attack will be painful for the thugs. Then he bumped his elbow. 5 punches Tiger Cannon out. Saw Kim Soon-chul playing handsome. Not to be outdone. Lee Jun was not to be outdone. One hand stands on a flying leg to mop the floor. Lee Junny heard Lee Jun's name. So much so that the expression was speechless. In the face of the thugs' attacks, they dodged and dodged. A slam punch out to block the thugs' view. Then another punch sent the thugs into the air. Backhand grabbed the gangster's clothes. MMA, mixed martial arts wrestling. A few brutal punches left the thugs with a blue nose and swollen face. Everyone was dumbfounded. It seems to have risen to a new level with him. But it's too late to think about it, since the thugs rushed over so quickly. That means their whereabouts have been revealed. From now on, every second counts. The hope of the study group. The male protagonist and Jin Shurxian rush towards the top floor of the building. Meanwhile, the dirty man is holding the surveillance on his phone. Handed to the batch of Korean. What should we do now? Chiu Zai-huang, who was hiding on the side like this, was a little confused. Why? I guess that they would find this place. It's still gathered here. What the hell is Pai Han Yu doing? Hong Yaxing and Chui Wuhui immediately petitioned. Go meet them. Pai Han shook the file. I wanted you to wait. But that doesn't seem to be your style. Go ahead and kill them all. At this moment, the male protagonist doesn't know how many floors they have run to. But Pai Han is definitely in this building. At this moment, Jin Shurxian suddenly escaped from Ziming. You go first because it's on this floor. I happened to meet Chiu Zai-huang, who was hanging out. Chiu Zai-huang showed a fierce expression. I am poor. Did I win the lottery? Kim Se-hyun looked back and smiled. You go ahead and look for Pai Han Yu. I'm here to deal with this guy. Chiu Zai-huang stretched out his hand and pointed at Jin Shurxian. What are you doing, Ziming? You actually let this Dick Silk be your shield. Remembered being Chiu Zai-huang before. Scenes of bullying. Kim Se-hyun gritted his teeth and creaked. It's the first time in the whole play to say dirty words. I'm not a dick. The male owner who continues to hurry. Actually, I'm not worried at all. Because Seon is not making sacrifices on his own initiative. If it is said, both Shuinja and Lee Jun's strength is amazingly forbidden. Shovel then. Lee Ji-yu has ascended to a new realm. And in these 20 days, the biggest change is Kim Se-hyun. Facing Chiu Zai-huang's slap. Kim Hyun didn't even look at it and grabbed it with one hand. Remembered the humiliation he had suffered on Chiu Zai-huang. I said I'm not a dick. And it's not a shield. I'm just an ordinary student. At most, it can be used to burn firewood. But you burned the book I cherish the most. Hyun Mei-shin's basic skills, the second move, miscellaneous claws. Bang! The entire floor echoed with Chiu Zai-huang's screams. Remembered what the male protagonist's mother said. A great man once said something like this. Violence perpetrated to protect oneself. Not violence. Kim Se-hyun's gaze was calm. It's a good student who has been bullied intellectually. Now it's super strong. In the operation to eradicate the weary and dense. Kim Se-hyun faced the first mini-boss. Chiu Tsai-huang, who once bullied him. A small elbow base. Beat Chiu Zai-huang to scream again and again. Chiu Zai-huang wiped the injured right side of his face. Originally, he was irritable by the male protagonist. Was also molested by Pu Jin-yi. Although I feel ashamed. But you can endure it. But it didn't take long. His father was sent to prison again. I heard that it was a study group disguised as a standing military draft. Can I still bear it after all this? Thinking about Chiu Zai-hwang went crazy. He rushed towards Kim Se-hyun. A hard kick was narrowly avoided by Kim Se-hyun. Kim Se-hyun was a little nervous. This guy is going all out. Kim Se-hyun relied on the results of his training during this time. Dodge another punch, rushed to Chiu Zai-hwang's rear, and prepared to take the opportunity to counterattack. Unexpectedly, he was ruthlessly gambled by Chiu Zai-hwang. He slammed Kim Se-hyun in the face a few more times. Autumn whipped and roared on the yellow side. You think you've been learning kung fu for a few days? Can I beat the kung fu that I have practiced for more than 10 years? Yes. Kim Se-hyun also knows that if he is sick, it will definitely be no fun. He also knows. I only practiced kung fu for a few days. There's no way to fight. But the male protagonist's mother taught him. But it's not just taekwondo. There are two more ways to do this. The first is to improve the ability to resist attacks. Cultivate the courage to not close your eyes when you are beaten. He was in these 20 days, but it was not light to be beaten by the male protagonist's mother. With Chiu Zai-hwang's legs raised high, Kim Se-hyun was tough again. The raw one was struck, but he didn't close his eyes. Has been observing Chiu Zai-hwang's every move. Finally caught the flaw. Punch hard. Hit Chiu Zai-hwang with a burst of bright guns. Clutching his throat in pain, Jin Shirsian put on a posture. This is the middle and high main punch when attacking Hojie. And the second method, it's about writing down taekwondo, a variety of ways to play with the arms. Although the leg is the core style of play in taekwondo, but it takes too much time. Decisively gave up. On these days, he pushes and pulls in taekwondo a few times. A variety of methods that require arms have been mastered, plus the temples, chest, and jaw, among the people, and so on, grasp the vital parts of the body. But it is necessary to make an accurate combination of these three factors. And also in real combat. Instantaneous, conditioned reflex application. That's right, that's just a few days of training. The way to win him. 26 techniques, 35 key points, regardless of the probability that he has 910 probabilities. Finally, I will make a summary. You have to memorize all of this. Kim Se-hyun stretched out his palm. This time, it's the jaw. Kim Shirsian raised his hand and stood up with an uppercut. At this moment, Chiu Zai-hwang was beaten in doubtful life. Chiu Zai-hwang, who fell to the ground, was not convinced. This guy. Last time, I was a dick who let myself be bullied. Jin Shirsian, who had a blue nose and swollen face, opened his mouth and was not convinced. If you're not convinced, you can also learn, you stupid fork. I remembered that Lee Jun was holding a popsicle. Dry pointed to his own appearance. Go ahead and take out the look of the hedgehog head. Kim Se-hyun was a little speechless. What does the hedgehog head refer to? Haven't you read the manga? Aren't the characters there all hedgehog heads? Although Lee Ji-yu always laughs at you for being skinny. But I don't think so. Kim Tae-hyun fell to the ground weakly. Is the hedgehog head a symbol of the protagonist? Meanwhile, Lee Ji-yu's voice sounded on the other floor. Haha. I thought I was playing a game. How the game is guarded on every floor. Lee Ji-yu raised his arms to the highest. Pointing at Hong Yaksing's forehead, it was just right. Stinky bitch Shui Wukei opened his mouth, and people are still small. Take it easy. Sun Wukei turned his head to look at the Jingshun on the other side. Then my opponent is you. Then, Lee Jun, who ran upstairs excitedly, suddenly contracted his pupils. A figure passed through the hallway. It was the first time that Lee Jun showed such a serious expression. It's the guy he's been looking for. Lee Ji-woo and Kim Soon-chul faced off. Pai Hanyu's direct subordinates. Hong Yaksing and Shui Wukei. Lee Ji-yu and Hong Yaksing stood together, although it is the most adorable height difference. But Lee Ji-yu is undaunted. Also rushed towards Hong Yaksing with a punch. Although you haven't offended me by anything, But I just can't get used to Huang Meishi's sword fork. Rely on your arrogance. Hong Yaxing dodged Huang Meishi sideways. What's wrong? He just looks at the boys a little worse. Isn't he just taking a fancy to your boyfriend Kim, Kuei-jin? Smack! Li Jiyu was hit. Hong Yaxing continued to taunt. It seems that you can't get used to him seducing your boyfriend. Li Jiyu raised his fist at this crazy woman. Kicking my ball stimulates me. At the same time, the Jingshun on the other side also shot. But it was blocked by Chui Wukue strongly. Chui Wukue showed a relaxed expression. Brother Xuanxia, are you playing a fist-grabbing game with me? Choi Mukyu grabbed Kim Soon Cole's arm and slammed it. I'll take your arm first. Kim Soon Cole realized that something was wrong. This is a grappling technique with the airway. Definitely not to be caught.